Thank you for joining us, spending your valuable time with the Infowars family. It is Wednesday, the second day of November, 2011. We had an incredible radio show today. That's all archived here at prisonplanet.tv with Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. His album going to the top of the charts, 13, just coming out yesterday. Jesse Ventura, out of the 30, 40, 50 interviews I've done, the most powerful, bar none. Towards the end of this transmission, if I have time, I'll mention a few of the amazing things that Governor Ventura talked about. In fact, he even got into a little bit of discussion about running for president with Ron Paul. So a lot is going on behind the scenes. Very exciting radio show today, very informative. But this news transmission is going to be even more hard-hitting, so please stay with us. We have a gentleman who has worked with the natives up in Canada for decades, who has exposed a government genocide program against the Aboriginal Native Americans in northern North America. He's going to be joining us with breaking information in our interview segment in the second half of the transmission this evening, and I'll get into the main body of the news and a whole bunch of different video reports that we have for you this evening. But first, I want to direct all of you watching to the document cam right here. This is Sky Television. That's Fox in Europe and England. And you can go watch him give the speech in Hebrew, and they translate it into English. Israel considers preemptive attack on Iran. When you read the article, Netanyahu says he wants to go ahead and strike them. They've only got a few weeks until the reactors are up and running, and then it causes a Chernobyl disaster if they bomb them. So we're talking about weeks here, a month maximum. As I told you 2 weeks ago, I said 2 weeks from now, they plan to go with the green light to hit Iran. That's when we're going to go into the danger zone here. Again, you heard it here first from our sources. Just letting you know, I don't announce something unless I've got it from 4 or 5 good sources. In this case, I had it from even more. Let's continue with Sky Television here. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is trying, again, the green light, trying to rally support in his cabinet and with the Knesset, it goes on, for an attack on Iran, according to government sources. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it means he wants to do it. And he had to get rid of his own Mossad chief, his own Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman earlier in the year because they said it was going to be a disaster, just like the U.S. government and the British have told him. But this guy was quoted in the Washington Times as saying privately, he told some of his aides who talked to the Washington Times last week, that he wants to be known as Churchill fighting Hitler. So it's all about Benjamin Netanyahu, you know, being the big king here and doing this. And, of course, the United States also would like to have war to distract from what's happening with the big banking takeover and what's happening in Europe, so they can, I guess at the end of the day, you know, let Israel act like they're operating unilaterally, but that's not what's really happening. And, of course, you got this guy. I mean, this is just quite a crew here. And most Israelis are, by the way, against this strike on Iran. But this could trigger World War III. So I told you that 2.5 weeks ago, I got criticized for it. I told you they were going to announce they want to hit Iran. Look, not only do I have the sources here, remember, they launched that whole fake story where the used car salesman was going to attack the Saudi ambassador, and then all these U.S. government experts came out and said it was total bull a day after I came out and said it was bull. I mean, my point is, I know what I'm talking about. I do my homework. I research probably 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And so we've been proven right again. This is out of Israeli news. U.S. fears uncoordinated Israeli strike on Iran. And they go on to say, basically, it looks like Israel is going to strike them. Now, that could change. If we are able to stop this dangerous military adventure, then we'll be accused of claiming that there was going to be an attack when there never was a plan. But again, that's only targeted at low-grade morons. Okay, that COINTELPRO, that government disinformation. Now let's continue here with another article. This is out of Israel. That's out of Fox in Europe. Let's go ahead and go to this article. This is the London Guardian. UK military steps up plans for Iran attack amid fresh nuclear fears. They're about to release a new UN IAEA, International Atomic Agency, whatever it comes out to. They're about to issue this big alert. I got to love Herman Cain coming out today and saying he's worried about China trying to develop a nuclear threat. They've had it since the 60s. Since the 90s, they've had ICBMs that can vaporize the entire United States. IAEA is what it is, International Atomic Energy Agency, having one of those little Alzheimer's moments a little early there. So that's just, oh, and of course, who is behind this overall global crisis? You can go back to the document cam. I'll be talking about this cover from the Austin Chronicle, itself run by a one-percenter, telling you about all the bankers. He means middle-class people down the street. But at the end of the day, it is the global financial oligarchy. You notice the Pope called for world government, or his main body called for world government and World Bank last week. You punish the banksters, I guess, by giving them even more power. That'll certainly show them to set up a Bank of the World. We all pay carbon and VAT and sales taxes too. So I'm going to have a little comment about the head of the Austin Chronicle and their longstanding disinformation tactics against us before this transmission ends. So there you have it. Right now, Israel itself, its leadership, is getting ready and trying to sell the world on a preemptive strike on Iran and all the bedlam that will trigger. And meanwhile, those of us that have been warning people about this are being criticized by the disinfo trolls. But meanwhile, my cousin 3 weeks ago was deployed to Kuwait, and now it's in one of these articles. At the end of the article, they mention from the New York Times that the United States is preparing to back up Israel's attack if needed from Kuwait and surrounding areas. In fact, let me just go ahead and pull that up for you. It says, citing unnamed officials and diplomats, the newspaper said the repositioning could include new combat forces in Kuwait, able to respond to a collapse of security in Iraq or a military confrontation with Iran. In fact, let's just show people out of Ynet there out of Israel. See that? And that was in the New York Times on Sunday, and I did cover that. Of course, I already knew my cousin had been sent to Kuwait for this and told you. And I already checked with a bunch of other sources, including lieutenant colonels and even higher ups I won't even mention. There it is. See, I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. I don't come on air and say thanks for attention. I come on air when I have facts. I'm all about credibility. We have the credibility. We know what we're talking about, period. Okay? All right, I'm done. Just, I always got to come out first and announce things to people. And then even when I'm right, I get the blame for it. I'm quite frankly sick of it. And you know what? If we stop this crazy attack on Iran, they'll say, oh, where's the war on Iran, Alex? They're saying in the Knesset they're getting ready for it. We're trying to stop it. And you people out there, I told you we were in a depression 3 years ago. Now they admit we are. I mean, do you like being conned? Do you like being ripped off? Do you like being lied to? Do you like being schmucks? Like being suckers? Like being marks? Like being jokes? Like being seen as idiots? You think it's cute to be morons? And I'm not talking to our regular viewers and listeners. I'm talking to the COINTELPRO, the people on government payroll and others paid to come out and lie about us. I'm not upset you're lying about us and attacking me. At the end of the day, that actually just gets us more attention. And in a way, God turns your attacks into a victory. No weapon formed against us will prosper. I'm worried about you and your delusional state. I'm worried about you not being on the winning team of liberty. Okay? So admit you've been morons and come in and wake up and stop World War III before it's too late. You think the depression's bad right now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Governments always start these things when a depression is taking place so the politicians don't get the blame. They've got riots and demonstrations in Israel over the imploding economy. Netanyahu wants this to become a political savior. You got that? When all else fails, they start a war. This is serious business. Netanyahu is in the Knesset calling for war. Washington says they're getting ready to hit. 2.5 weeks after I told you so. This is real. We've got to call Congress. We've got to call talk radio. We've got to pray, whatever. We've got to stop this. This could easily lead to World War III. I'm not going to go into a long treatise about that. We've covered it ad nauseum. Man, I tell you what, we wouldn't be in this position if people weren't in such deep denial. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the next little piece of news here. And this deals with something we knew was coming. Homeland Security's announced they're going to be at shopping malls, train stations, they already are, checkpoints on the highway. You think you're just not going to fly and not have some pot-bellied perv grab your daughter's breast or grab your genitals and make sure that, they're not huevos? This is about making sure men don't have huevos in this country. This is about absolutely breaking your will and training you to live in domestic checkpoints. And they've got all these videos now, these training videos they air in hotels all over the country. In fact, we have a clip of the video. They can play a clip if they want over us, saying, don't trust anybody. Terrorists are everywhere. Oh, my God, there's a bag on the floor. A box blows out of a car in Austin. They shut down highways and have bomb disposal teams. I mean, it's just, don't trust anyone but the government that's gang raping you. And it goes through all these disgusting reports, and now they're putting up lamps, street lights that have microphones and videotaping you. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And they admit that Big Sis is tracking all your Twitter comments, and they've got a FEMA takeover of all communications drill November 9th. It'll happen during my show. It'll happen at the start of the third hour, 2 o'clock Eastern. It's going to take over XM, AM, FM, UHF, VHF, shortwave, everything. Never done this before in 60 years of the EAS system. Right around the time, reportedly, looks like Israel's green-lighted to hit Iran. And again, we can turn this around, but you're not safe anywhere, not in hotels.
Departures, bags and parcels. The same things that make America's hotels and motels inviting for guests make them attractive targets for terrorists and criminals.
Oh, yeah.
As someone who works or stays
Look at that.
in hotels
That's
or motels,
the
larger
Maryland Hotel. Back that up. That's where Bilderberg met. That is right in the middle of a bunch of defense contractor deals. So they're selling hotel staff, but they're also showing this to hotel people. They're selling them that there's just terrorists everywhere. And my God, they're hiding in cornfields. They're hiding in hotels. Don't trust anybody. Your customers coming in are terrorists. This is about invoking a total hysteria.
Can help keep them safe. If you see something, say something.
Sounds like the THX 1138 robot voice saying, we're here to help. That's enough. I can't watch any more of it. Get it off. They've announced they're going to be at sports stadiums everywhere, and they are. And you go to the shopping mall, there's big screens saying, trust no one but Big Brother, Big Sis. I mean, this is beyond 1984. And they're just getting started. They're just getting started because criminals took over society. They know that we're awake. They know that we're involved, and they've got to bring in a total control grid. And when you get the actual government training manuals that we publicized and made national news with, it's not about Muslim terrorists that they just gave Libya, Al-Qaeda. It's all about gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, land rights activists. It's all for the American people. Never forget that. In fact, Jesse Ventura pointed out today, this is martial law, and he's been under martial law in the Philippines. All of this is just incremental martial law for the total implosion of America by design, by the crooks that engineered all this. Okay, let's continue here with the news. Again, we're teleprompter free, so I just have my notes of the next segment I want to go to. Again, this is only teleprompter-free news in the country, and normally these guys send down their talking points. Everybody regurgitates them. The left has their fake points. The right has their points. We're just here for freedom and liberty and historical facts. The Fed's outlook, they have come out and said that they think that the country is basically going into a serious crisis, and their outlook has been downgraded. There's now a triple dip, they're saying, in the housing market. I told you 3 years ago, from all the economists I talked to in my own research, we were in a depression then. But as long as they keep telling you with the PSYOP everything's fine, well, then there's not a problem. And as Jesse Ventura said on my show today, people aren't protesting Wall Street and the free market. The media is spinning it that way. They're protesting certain elements of Wall Street, i.e. the Federal Reserve's buy-off and hijacking of Congress, of our government, and their new super Congress. So that's what's happening on that front. And we've got another report here. You know, you've seen more than 100 cases, even mainstream media has had to admit that it's all fake, where they go get some prison convict or some mentally retarded person and give them hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they'll dress up in a uniform and they'll say, I'll give you 50,000 more if you talk about blowing up the Miami FBI building. Remember that case? But the black Rastafarian potheads they said were Muslims, it was all fake a few years ago. Well, now they've moved on to 70 and 75 and older geriatrics you know, talking them in to just shooting their mouths off while they're drinking beer about blowing up the government. They got